I think my house was listening last night. Last night I went to go take a shower because I do shower, and my drain was clogged in my shower. So I grabbed the wife, grabbed the daughter. Did you guys put something in? I didn't know it was clogged. I thought maybe they were in there and they poured something in and forgot to rinse it or something. So I'm like, what the hell's going on in here? They're like, no, we didn't do anything. And then so I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe it backed up. So I started filling it. Sure enough, it just wouldn't drain. So I'm like, oh, shit. Here it is, like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, oh, great. Now I got to do midnight plumbing. And I hate doing plumbing. I can't stand it. So I poured some Drano down there. I tried to snake it with anything. Clothes hangers, whatever I had. I tried everything. Wouldn't work. So I wake up first thing this morning with a battle plan. Okay, got to go to Home Depot. Got to get one of those really cool those rigid spiral snakes. The hand crank ones. I got one of those, and I bought some really heavy duty drain cleaner.
Okay. And
it took me from 8 o'clock this morning till about 10:30 to get that thing fixed. Oh my God. And I'm like, oh shit, I got Lauren coming over for the podcast. Here I am doing home maintenance on my house, and we're talking about home maintenance now. So that was not planned.
Yeah.
That was not planned, but I got it going, and it wasn't the snake that fixed it. It was the drain cleaner.
I need to know which drain cleaner you got, because my hair destroys every drain in our house.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, let me know which one you settled on.
Two women live with me with very long hair, and that's probably part of the reason. But anyways, there's going to be pictures of it in the video.
Cool.
And I'll put it in the description of the podcast as well, so people can know what it is. So home maintenance tips, exteriors. So I'll tell you what I have, and let me know if you think of anything. Because, I want your input. I want you to just let me know. Maybe clients have said to you, hey, how do you do? Maybe they called you later and said, hey, how do I do this? Do you know how do I do this? Who do I call? So, exteriors. Starting with exteriors is always the best because, number one thing is you want to keep your house dry. You want to keep your exteriors weatherproof. Painting, caulking, sealing, doors. All the surfaces between doors, windows, and siding need to be sealed all the time. If you have a bunch of stucco cracks, you want to get those filled. There's a lot of things to go over here, but I want to start with the top of the house, and that's the roof. Now, if you can picture a roof with no skylights, no chimney coming through it, no plumbing stacks, where's it going to leak? It's not going to leak unless the shingle happened to fall off.
Right.
So the roof penetrations on houses, that's what causes leaks. They're not sealed. You're literally drilling a hole in the roof, cutting a hole in the roof or whatever you're putting up there, whether it be a skylight or whatever. It's got to be flashed properly, which is a metal flashing. And that hides underneath the shingles. Typically, I'm talking composition shingles and maybe lightweight concrete tiles and stuff. You can say the same for clay tile as well. But standard residential roofs. So these vents that come through the roof to vent out your plumbing and so forth, it all has to be sealed. Yeah. All the time. If you live in a state where it's constantly raining, you got to really stay on top of that. Yeah. We're in California. It only rains, so many months a year, but when it does, it comes down in buckets. And I've seen a lot of phone calls come in.
Yeah. I mean, that's an item that we see pop up a lot. The flashing is missing all the time. I say like on 80% of the inspections you do on single family homes.
It's just deferred maintenance.
And I think because we're in California, people kind of put it off. Like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine until it's not.
Right.
So like, that's definitely something where it's like, we might not be in the rainy season now, but do it now.
Right.
Because when it starts to rain and everyone's panicking, guess who's going to be really busy and can't get to your roof?
The roofers.
So do it when it's not busy and be prepared. That's definitely not worth putting off. Just do it. Just do it. Protect your house.
And they're going to double charge you when it's an emergency. Just keep that in mind. Same thing with an HVAC company in the heat of summer or the freezing cold winter, and your heater goes out in the winter or your AC goes out in the summer. Trust me, you're going to pay more for that service call. Yeah. And then whatever they got to repair.
Yeah.
By the way, it's probably just your filter.
Probably. So because we've had the pandemic for the past couple of years and all that stuff, I did not call my HVAC guy to come and service our system for 18 months.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So of course, they got a notification that it shut down. It just stopped working one night. And it was cold for California. But I have kids, so I like to keep I definitely deserve that.
You get the wah-wah.
Yeah. And they had to come and they're like, yeah, like you need to like do this. We're like, no, we know. We just weren't bringing people in, and then the kid, and then work. And I just didn't prioritize, but here we are. And yeah, I mean, like in December or whatever, it just like stopped working. So they had to come out, clean it out for us. But I would honestly like recommend getting it serviced.
Was it the filter? Or was it something else?
It was a combination of things. We have a reusable filter, so we can actually like take it out, hose it out, and put it in.
I see. Yeah, make sure it's dry first.
Make sure it's dry first. Yeah. But ours is in our attic. Like we didn't even bother to do that, so we got shamed.
You got shamed.
Don't be like me. Take care of your HVAC system, because when you need it to work, it's probably going to break.
Yeah. So you're going to take care of that.
Yeah, take care of it.
But back to the roof.
Yeah. Sorry.
Back to the roof. So the the roof penetrations I'm talking about, like plumbing stacks, exhaust vent pipe stacks, any kind of a flashing on your roof needs to be done. Now, if you're not comfortable with climbing a ladder, or if you're just not that person, if you just have no idea what this stuff is, that's fine. Mm-hmm. No one said you have to know how to build a house to live in it. So call a professional, call a roofing company to come out, or if you know a really experienced handyman who actually knows what he's doing and knows how to use the right approved products. Because when you're sealing these areas, you want to make sure that's approved. Yeah. Approved sealants and stuff like that for roofs. Don't get up there with the window caulking and try doing it. It's not going to last.
It's not going to work.
So it's just stuff like that. But like I said, hire a professional if you're not comfortable, because you literally have to walk on the roof for this.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a accessible roof, like a 2-story, if you have a drone, or maybe your kid has a drone, nowadays everyone's got drones. It's like having an iPhone. It's like everyone's got an iPhone. So it's like if you can put a drone up there, you can get real close to those things and take a look and see if they need sealing. If not, great. If they're holding up, awesome. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's also a good way to just take a look at your roof.
Yeah.
If you have trees right next to your roof, if they're rubbing on it in high winds, they can rip your shingles right off. Mm-hmm. And if it's a really high roof, you're not going to see that from the ground. Mm-hmm. So it's a good idea to check on stuff like that. All right. Any questions? No. You good?
Yeah.
All right. One more thing about roofs. I'm going to mention the tree thing again. If you have a lot of trees above your roof, chances are you have a lot of leaves on your roof. Mm-hmm. Roofs are designed to repel water. They're not designed to hold water for a long, long period of time. It can actually damage the materials.
Yeah.
So if you have ponding water on your roof, a low spot, and it just sits and sits and sits for days on end during a storm or something, it's not helping your roof.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that leaves are not clogging your drains. And then we're going to get into roof gutters in a second. But you want to make sure any trees that are too close to the roof, just cut them back.
Yeah.
Not to mention, that's how varmints get up on your roof.
Yeah, as I say, that it invites all of the rodents.
Yeah,
they jump over. Yeah. Again, don't be like me. We actually had this issue last year, and we had a rat get into our attic. Wow. I heard it, and I was like, what is that sound? What is that sound? And they had we had this big tree in our backyard, and it needed to be trimmed, and they had used it as a bridge, got into our roof, and there was a little hole, which, by the way, you'd be surprised how small the space that they can squeeze through.
Yeah.
Like the little... Ooh, I keep hitting the microphone. I'm so sorry. The little screens you have, if you have like a raised foundation, like check those too. Like if you have a hole like this big.
I think a 1-inch hole is all they need.
They can squeeze right through there. So like you want to make sure all of that's taken care of. Yeah, it's ridiculous. they know how to suck it in. Real good.
So yeah, that's what they do. We're gonna get into more detail on that. So now rain gutters and downspouts, always clogged, always full of dirt. Another thing most people don't think of, if you have an old roof and it's worn out and it's composition shingles, there's going to be all kinds of granules that are falling off. Every time it rains heavy, it pushes the little granules off because now the roof's old and it's falling apart. And they all just fill up. I've seen gutters with 2 inches of granule loss in them. Ooh. I mean, it's crazy. And it's a lot of weight on your gutter too.
Yeah.
And that will eventually come loose because of all that weight. So you want to get up there and I would definitely recommend, once again, you have someone that knows what they're doing, because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Don't take one of those telescoping ladders and put it on the smooth surface of a gutter. If you climb up too high and you push, that thing will slide. I almost fell off a roof with that.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the last time I used a telescoping ladder on a gutter. I only use a little giant ladder, and I put a rubber strip on the back of it so it won't slide.
Move.
It won't slide. And it won't damage the gutter either.
Yeah. Speaking of gutters, another thing like I see a lot when my clients are looking at houses, because we're in California, a lot of homes don't even have gutters.
Yeah.
That's like super common, at least in Los Angeles. It's very common they don't have gutters. So people think, oh, like, again, it doesn't rain. I don't need it. And if I don't have gutters, they can't get clogged. And that's great, right? And it's actually, it's not great because there's nothing diverting the water away from your house.
Right.
So if you don't have gutters, that water is going to penetrate into your foundation and could potentially cause very big issues under your house that you can't see until it's a very big problem. So if you are buying a house and there's no gutters, it is worth exploring getting gutters installed on your house.
Right. So what to expect? Let's say, for example, you have a buyer and you find a house tomorrow and you notice the first thing you see is, wow, there's no gutters here. So then you can probably I'm sorry. Let me try that again. Proactively tell your client, hey, you know what? I noticed there's no gutters, so we might see some settling in there.
Yeah.
We might see some floor deflection in the house. We might, the inspector might find a lot of moisture intrusion coming in, efflorescence, or we may find a good amount of cracks. Very possible if it's a really old building.
Yeah.
Like a 1920s and stuff like that. A lot of 1950s houses without gutters, there's really not too many issues except for the efflorescence getting in.
Yeah.
That's most of my experience.
Yeah.
So that's just how that is. But that's just something to expect.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't see gutters. Cleaning your gutters, like I said, get someone to do it for you if you're not comfortable on ladders. And it's not that expensive. It can't be that expensive.
It's cheaper than the damage it's going to cause if you don't take care of it.
When you're in the hospital all wrapped up like a mummy because you fell off the ladder and you broke your elbow, your leg, your shoulder, whatever. Yeah, no fun. No fun there. Solar panels. Hey, solar panels.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't inspect solar panels either. But I do notice when they're really dirty. They need to be cleaned.
Yep.
The purpose of those is to, let the sun in. And if you put a shade over it, which is dirt, they're not going to work right.
Right.
So you want to get them cleaned. A window cleaning company is good for that.
Yeah, they'll just power wash them.
Yeah, they'll power wash them, scrub them down, whatever they got to do. And if your roof happens to have like moss on it or anything like that, if one side of your roof is mostly not shaded most of the time, a lot of trees over it, you might see some discoloration, and that's just because it's always in the shade. So a window cleaner might have a remedy for that as well. Some of them may tackle that as well. And skylights. Skylights, they just get dirty.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of maintenance on a skylight aside from just washing it.
Right.
And if you keep it clean, it's not going to build up a bunch of crud.
Right. Otherwise, you have to, you're in your nice bathroom or whatever room and you're like, oh, I should take care of that.
Could have sworn it was sunny out.
Yeah. You'll enjoy it more.
Yeah, you will enjoy it more. Okay, another windows and doors. That's one of the biggest things that just get neglected on any house.
Yeah.
Windows. Some rooms, they have couches blocking the window. And no one's opened those windows in 20 years.
Yeah.
And the window's 20 years old. So all the seals are dried up. The mechanical arms are just not working right. Even if you don't use a window, once a year at least, open all the windows up.
Yeah.
Blow them out. Lubricate them, whatever you got to do. Wipe them all down. Get the dirt out. That's most of the time I go to houses. I see that a lot. I can't even open the windows. Most cases, you should be able to open a window with 2 fingers.
Yeah. Now put your whole body into it.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, okay, I got to use 2 arms and my back to get this window. That's not right. That means something's going on there. Either it wasn't installed right or it's really, really dirty.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been opened in a super long time.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, windows and doors. Okay, as I mentioned a little while ago, exterior walls, windows, and doors. All those surfaces need to be sealed between each other. So no water gets in between and affects one or the other. Okay, lawn sprinklers. I don't inspect those. But I'm going to tell you about them. Rule number 1, do not water your house.
Yes. It doesn't make it grow bigger.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
You don't get extra square footage by watering it. Water your lawn instead. that's what these sprinkler systems are for. A lot of times they're installed right up against the house within 2 inches. Sometimes I've seen the heads literally touching the foundation. I'm like, who the hell put this in here? Oh, it's going to spray away from the house. Yeah, when it's working right.
Yeah.
But as soon as it stops working, it's spraying over the bottom of the stucco or the wood siding, and it causes a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So I think the sprinkler head should be at least 12 to 24 inches away from the foundation of the wall. And, of course, spraying in the opposite direction, not towards the house. But that's a big problem. And I've seen houses where it's so bad. I mean, this has been going on for years and no one corrects it.
Yeah.
You can see the spray mark on the stucco.
Yeah.
It's like this. 2 spray marks from this sprinkler head and this one.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, no one's noticing this? Why does my house look like that?
Yeah.
Because how do you not know that's not your sprinklers?
One of those like out of sight,
Right.
out of mind things. You don't really think about it until you have a very big problem.
Which will be and can be,
Yeah.
if that wall gets so saturated with water, that moisture is eventually going to work its way into the wall.
Yes.
And then guess what you get? Mold.
Yep.
That's always fun.
Yeah.
And that's because it's going to transfer right through that wall eventually, and then right into the interior.
Yeah.
So then you're opening up.
Yeah.
the
Now you're
wall.
opening up drywall. And
All
it's a whole thing.
all because you're ignoring your sprinkler heads. Now keep in mind, sprinkler heads are mostly on when we're sleeping or late at night, so no one sees them when they're on, and that's mainly the reason. So you got to turn it on, and don't put so much faith in your gardeners. Oh my God, I've had gardeners screw up shit on me so bad in the
I
past.
feel like there's a story there.
There's a story there. I had a pool at a past house that I owned, and it had bushes all around it, and it had a railing around it. It had like it's probably chest high
Okay.
metal fence, and the bushes were kind of my privacy from the neighbors.
Okay.
So the bushes were like probably 3 feet above the metal fence. I just wanted to cut them down to the level of the metal fence.
Got it.
Got home from work, and they were all gone.
Oh.
He cut them completely down.
Oh no.
I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And I looked at the guy, and he looks at me because he sees the panic on my face.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did you do? I did what you. His English wasn't great.
Yeah.
And I cut him. I said, yeah. I told you to trim him to the metal fence. I walked you through this before I left. He got fired on the spot.
Oh boy.
His daughter was calling me for a week after that. Hey, can you give him his job a second chance? He'll replace all the trees. Like, replace the trees. It's not that easy, man. He ain't get that kind of money. This is a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's probably 40 of them.
Oh.
It was a big area.
Oh no.
I said, no, man. I said, this language barrier, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I just couldn't speak his language. He couldn't speak mine very well.
Yeah.
And it was just unfortunate, but that's what happens when there's a language barrier.
Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Right there. So I'm really hesitant hiring anybody that is not on the same page I'm on as far as speaking wise.
Yeah.
Just language wise. If they're broken English and not getting everything I hear, I really won't hire them because of that, unless they have somebody with.
Or you bring in someone else to do specific tasks, right? If it's just like
Right.
basic, like, hey, like
Right.
mow my lawn, pick up
Sure.
the leaves and things like that, it's one
Right.
thing. But you're like, hey, I'm going to bring in like a landscaper or someone who like specializes in like tree maintenance and things like that, and they can,
Right.
manicure your yard and
Right.
kind of keep those things separate.
Yeah, you just got to keep it separate. But
Yeah.
anyway, you're back to why I don't put so much faith in them on a weekly basis, because they're just trying to mow and go. These guys have a schedule.
Yeah.
They're probably cutting 30 lawns that day.
That's a lot.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
these guys are busy.
Yeah.
I mean,
They hustle.
They hustle.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying all of them. I'm not trying to generalize every one of them.
Yeah.
But I'm saying check it yourself once in a while.
Yeah.
Check your sprinklers, make sure they're working.
It all just comes down to communication and setting expectations.
Yes.
It's all full circle.
Yeah.
Communication,
Yeah.
set expectations.
It's your house. Manage it.
Yeah.